What's up, gang? Today I'm going to talk about why you may have failed to hit your lift and what to do or how to approach it when you do hit failure. Now, specifically today, I'm going to be relating it to our back squat progression that we're on right now, the 6 and the 20, because that's where this conversation comes up. But this is true of any of the lifts, deadlifts, bench, clean, jerk, snatch, whatever. So while I am speaking specifically to the squat today, the same rules and philosophy will apply to any of the other lifts that we hit. Okay, so I used to have this up on the whiteboard for a few weeks, took it down, and we'll do some more visuals for you. But this is a hierarchy of movement, and it starts at the bottom: positions, and then transitions, speed, and load. And at some point here on this pyramid is going to be why you may have missed. So when we do inevitably hit failure, we don't just immediately abandon ship, shift to a different squat progression and start hammering out again. We want to look at specifically why we missed, and then that will determine what we do next. So the bottom one is positions. If you don't have the position, everything above it is irrelevant. The transition, the speed of the movement, and the total weight lifted doesn't matter if you can't hit and get into the positions. Good starting position and a good bottom position. This is specifically what we're talking about here is depth of the movement, total range of motion, your posture throughout the entire movement, and your stance, which might, if we're doing bench press, might be hand position. These are the things specifically related to position. Why would we miss? Meaning we can't get all the way down. We lack the range of motion. Our posture breaks down. Our stance shifts throughout. It could be a lack of skill. We don't know how to maintain posture, position, stance. It may be weakness in a particular muscle group throughout the movement, or it may just be a complete lack of awareness. We don't feel it at all, which could be different from the skill of getting there. So any of these things could be the reason why we failed at the level of positions. And based off of whether or not we failed at the level of positions will determine what we would do next. After that, it could be transition. Specifically, what we're talking about is moving throughout the movement, your ability to maintain torque in your hips throughout the squat, and imbalance, front to back, right to left. Do we have a very obvious hip sway? Are we not able to keep our weight balanced in a tripod position on the foot? Do we shift to our toes? Do we shift too back too much in our heels? Do we drive our hips too far back? Our weight distribution of our weight and the weight of the bar, and then the bar path. Is the bar path staying in a straight line, or is it entirely out of control? These are the variables that we're talking about when we consider transitions. And the reason why you may have failed at one of those, again, it could be lack of skill. You just don't have the skill set for the squat or whatever the movement is. It could be, it says weirdness. I see that. So it could be weakness in a particular muscle group that's causing the imbalance to sway, your inability to maintain torque, and it could be a lack of awareness. You're just not able to feel it, recognize it, and haven't practiced it enough, so you're not aware that you are shifting, that you are not maintaining torque. It could be any of those things. Next one could be speed. What we're talking about is, are you moving the bar or your body too fast? Are you moving it too slow? And are you inconsistent with it? Does every rep look the same? Same speed, same transition, same position, same approach, or are they always fluctuating? And the reasons in there are obvious. You're either moving it too fast, you're moving it too slow, or you're not consistent. So it could be skill, it could be awareness, whatever. And then the final reason at the top that you might hit failure would be load, which is total weight lifted. It's too much weight for you to lift, you're not able to lift it, or it's too much volume that you have been lifting and it's accumulated and caught up to you. So there's going to be a reason why you may have failed at any different level, and that's going to determine what we do and how we approach it. So we're going to look at a couple of examples here. How many slides? Sorry, that's the last slide. All right, cool. So some examples here. You lose leverage or position because you lean too far forward when you squat. It means I'm going down for the squat, the bar path is coming forward, and I'm not able to continue to add up because the weight's getting too heavy because I'm driving the bar forward, or my body is falling forward. So maybe we have a weak upper back and it's not able to sustain the weight on our back. Maybe we have a poor bar position on our back and our body's not built for the position that we're trying to squat, and because of that, the bar's falling forward. Maybe we're not maintaining a balanced foot, so our weight is shifting too far forward when we squat, and that's what's pulling us forward and we're losing leverage. Maybe our knees cave in, and that's why we're falling forward. Maybe we are not driving our chest and our hips up at the exact same rate when we drive back into the bar, and because of that, our hips are shooting up and we're leaning forward. And there's a number of different reasons why that could be happening. If you have a weak upper back, you need to get a stronger upper back. If you have a poor bar position, maybe you learned it wrong, maybe you don't have the awareness of how to adjust it, and you could just start adjusting where the bar is on your back. You wouldn't have to change your squat program, you wouldn't have to hit any particular accessory work, whatever. We would just fix the bar position, you'd stay on the same path. Maybe you're not maintaining a balanced foot. Is that because you have tight ankles, knee issues, hip issues? Is there a weakness throughout, or is it a skill? We would determine that in the moment, and then it would determine what you would do next. So maybe you have tightness, you have restrictions somewhere, so we could change your position. You could do some mobility drills, or we can just relearn it and fix it and stay right on the path. Your knees are caving in. Why are they caving in? Is it body awareness? Is it a neuromuscular thing? Do you have weak glutes that are causing your knees to collapse? Do you have an imbalance? Any of those things are going to determine, or one of those things is going to determine why it's happening, and then that would change your approach. So maybe you have to switch up to doing some unilateral work in the meantime. Maybe you have to switch up to doing some box squats for a while, overload some hinges, do glute dominated things, and maybe it's just a skill. You're not driving your chest and hips up at the exact same rate. That could be a skill, it could be a weakness also. So another reason why you might be failing, knees caving in. You're not able to maintain torque. Why? You don't know how. You don't have your foot screwed into the floor. You got a muscular imbalance. Depending on which one it is, will determine which track we go to. Maybe you're not. Maybe you do have a glute and hip imbalance that is causing those knees to cave in which case you would stop doing the squat progression entirely and you would hit at a specific ratio, specific exercises to fix that particular imbalance. You get buried in the bottom of the squat. Maybe you lose tension in the bottom. You don't have any stability. Why is that? You're not able to generate stability. You're not creating tension and torque. You're dropping too fast. Could be any of those different things. And this is just 3 examples of why you may have failed, and then all of the answers of what we would do next that could come out of it. And it's the response and answer that is the only true answer that nobody likes because it is perfectly accurate and tells us nothing. Like, what should I do? Well, it depends. It's relative. It depends on way too many variables, and it's not going to be just, hey, you build up on your squat, and then when you can't hit anymore, you shift and do this. It depends on why exactly we hit it, because for some of us, it's a lack of skill, and if we could just do some skill drills, then we can add a lot of capacity very, very quickly, and the squat numbers could go up incrementally very fast, and the volume of work that you could do could accumulate very fast, and your body could get a lot stronger, a lot leaner, a lot better, a lot easier. And for some of you, you could keep hitting failure over and over and over again and shift to a different squat program and a different squat program forever. But unless you hit the one specific reason, which might be a muscular imbalance or a skill thing, until you address it, it's never going to go up. So just constantly cycling through random metcons and random strength progressions just to try something new, and you could switch it from a front squat to a back squat to a box squat, but if it never addresses the key issue, then you're never actually going to improve, and you might actually be making the issue worse. And that's one of the challenges that you run into when you do some choreographed fitness. If you just go and do a general group fitness class and everybody's doing the same thing and just modifying it to the best of their ability, these are the types of caps that you're going to ultimately run into. And it doesn't serve us to just continuously hammer away and switch things up. And it's very much the job and the role of the coach. It's my job to look at exactly what you're doing, determine why you're missing, and determine the best way to address those particular issues. So it's not as simple as, you hit failure, go do this. The very obvious question is why. And here's a whole bunch of different ways to look at it, and based off of them, a whole bunch of the different paths that we can take. And if it seems like a lot of information that I literally told you nothing and you're more confused, don't worry about it. It doesn't really matter. That's why you're paying me, to tell you exactly what to do. And I can see all these things for you. But this is going to give you a perspective of what we're doing, how we're going to shift it, when we're going to shift it, why we're going to shift it, and how it's going to bring us back to ultimately pushing that capacity as high as possible. So hopefully you have 100 questions now and you ask them, do the work.